And, oh, yes, continue. Yeah, so welcome to meeting number 5. It's going to be production design. And I'm really excited to share with you guys what we have so far. So let me share my screen.
Olivia, are you on a train?
Someone on a train? That'd be cool. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think it's a bus. I'm not sure. Okay, so meeting number 5, production design. Please take the QR code here for attendance so we can mark you down so you guys can get credit if you guys so want. Yeah, in general, I don't have a huge amount of experience in this specific field, but I have spent a good amount of time on different aspects of art team. So this is really just going through like what each aspect of it is and how we can all learn more about it in different ways, because there's so much to talk about with production design, so much to talk about on it. So it was kind of hard to condense it down into such a short meeting. But before we get into it, I'm gonna give this over to Emily for Woman of the Week.
So our Woman of the Week is Hannah. Is it Hannah or Hannah?
I think it's Hannah.
Okay, that's what I thought also. I was like, wait, I don't want to say it correctly. Hannah, and she has worked on a lot of well-known movies, especially like superhero movies. That's kind of where her focus is, like Marvel films. But she grew up in Ohio and actually went to University of Cincinnati to study fashion design. And that's kind of where she started getting interested in production design and working on costumes and props and stuff like that. She started collaborating with the director Ryan Coogler, I think that's how you pronounce it, on 2013's Fruitvale Station, which actually won many Sundance awards. And it's about the shooting that happened in Oakland, California. It's a really great movie. I would 100% recommend watching it. It's super emotional though. But they actually both collaborated and worked on Creed and Black Panther as well. She's also worked on Moonlight and also helped create Beyonce's visual album Lemonade in 2016, which if you've watched that, it's very impressive. The entire costume production design, it's beautiful, like the most gorgeous thing ever. And actually in 2019, she won an Oscar award for Best Achievement in Production Design for Black Panther, and then also became the first female production designer to ever work on a Marvel film. So that was a huge accomplishment that she did.
Yeah, so she's really cool. If you're interested in production design, I'd highly recommend checking her out and following her work. Just really cool person. So getting into the meeting. What is production design? I've always qualified production design as what appears on screen that is not the actor, because everything besides the actor is part of production design in some way. So in general, PD or production design is the process of creating a unified look and feel of a film by controlling everything that appears within the film, like locations, props, costumes, and makeup. This is a large part of what creates the audience's suspension of disbelief, meaning that the audience, as they're watching the film, slowly begins to believe that the film is real. It's kind of a difficult topic, I think, to explain what suspension of disbelief is, but it's like the process of watching it and then being invested in the story. A large part of that is related to what is on the screen and how things look. If you're watching a period drama set in the 1840s and you suddenly see a car whiz by, that suspension of disbelief is broken now within the film. So being able to keep a tightly controlled production design is a way to really enhance someone's film and to make sure that and to prove that this is a film that someone cares about and has worked really hard on. Yeah. So the lead of production design is the production designer. They work very closely with the director, producer, and also the cinematographer. I forgot to add that in, I apologize. So they work with the director first to establish the look of a film. They want to make sure that everything, like the time is correct, that the costumes and the locations are something that the director wants to see within their vision. And the production designer is the one who then creates that vision for the director to film. The producer then is here's the budget, here's how much we can spend on PD, don't go over it or we'll get angry. PD is a very expensive thing sometimes. It really racks up a lot of money. And so working closely with the producer is really important when creating the look of a film. And then what I didn't add to is that the production designer has to work really closely with the cinematographer, because together is their collaboration creates what we see on screen, while the director is the one who guides them towards that goal. So I would say production designer and cinematographer are the two main team members that create what you see in front of the camera. Another responsibility of the production designer is to do a lot of research. The director is the one who's like, hey, I have an idea about this sci-fi flick. I would like to see this. But a production designer would then be the one to ground that in reality and things that have already been done before. Production designer would use inspiration from every other kind of sci-fi movie or every other kind of similar film, see what has been done before, or see what has is based in fact in this story, and then compile a lot of stuff for the director to then pick and choose from. Usually this comes across in a mood board or a lookbook of some kind, just so that the director has a visual way to look to see what the production design is aiming for, so that the director can then guide where that wants to go. And then finally, the production designer has their entire team below them, which is called the art team. And usually the art team is one of the largest on set. The art team has so many responsibilities and so many different important specializations that it's just a very large group of people. And so the production designer has to be really, really good at managing a large amount of people in a very short amount of time in a very high stress environment, especially in pre-production when meetings have to happen all the time in order for anything to get done. So yeah, that's the three main responsibilities of what a production designer does. Here's just a short list of the types of people that the production designer would work with. A lot of these are either collaborations with other members within the key crew, like for a storyboard artist or a concept artist, they'd be working with the director as well as the production designer. But a production designer specifically overlooks costume designers, set decorators, and set dressers. They overlook the makeup and hair department. A lot of the stuff on set as well. They have to overview the painters, the props, the property assistants, the lead men, swing gangs, production buyers. There's a lot of different jargon within the film industry of people who will set stuff up and take stuff down. Lead men and swing gang, they're very distinct groups, though I forget the exact distinction, but I think one of them sets up props and then keeps track of them. And then the swing gang is the one that takes down the set and brings up the set and stuff like that. Though I am unsure if I've switched those definitions, please look them up because I might have messed that up, so don't take my word for it exactly. But yeah, the art team is a really cool place, I think, to be. There's a lot of different specializations. There's people who are part of production design and they only make small model houses. And that is their job and that is what they make a living for. And it's so specialized that you think you couldn't make a living off of it, but because they've become the best that they can be at it, it's a really valuable job to have. So if you have a very specific interest, it's possible to then find a place within the art team that you will be useful for a film production.
We at Athena Film Festival last year, we actually, I don't remember who came with me, but I went to this one little panel of this person who was really into production design and making model cities, and they're there's no way I'm gonna make a living off of this. But then really fancy watch company in Europe was we want to do these cute little animated movies of these or commercials of these people with watches, and they're we want this lady to make these miniature cities, and she has a gig for the rest of her life and gets paid for it. And I just thought it was the most coolest thing ever. I'm this is amazing. But it's even if you have such a little niche or passion like that, you can totally make money off of it if you're really good and you get an awesome person who wants to work with you. So
yeah, exactly. One of my friends is a puppet man. He's he loves making puppets and he loves being a puppeteer or ventriloquist. And while that might be not something that in non-Hollywood areas that you could really like make a living from, but like he knows that he has a space in like SFX stuff, in just in general, like creating like creatures and stuff like that. So he's very excited and very specialized, but has like a plan in mind of where he wants to go. So yeah, if you have like a niche thing, like definitely look at things in the art team that could be an interest to you, for sure. So next, we're just going to talk about like how you establish the vision as a production designer and like in collaboration with the director. And the first thing I want to talk about with this is what I mentioned before, is called mood boards, which I absolutely love making. This is a sample mood board of a project that I like is in development for me, honestly, is something that I want to create at some point in time. But the goal of a mood board is to really like create the overall vibe and the overall like look of what you're going for in your film. Um, so it doesn't have to be directly related to your actual film. You can use it as inspiration. You can use it as just reference. In a large part of this, it's more about how you feel about the photos and what emotions they bring out to you. At least that's how I define it. For this one, I really chose like empty space and a lot of like blues and oranges, and then like showing off like ocean. It's hard. It's hard for this for the student budget to be like, yes, I want water, but a production designer would be like, all right, we need an ocean. We need to find that. We need to make sure that like this like follows like what the director like would want. So that was like creating some kind of like the ability to film underwater or film like over on like a lake or something like that. That would still be like the job of a production designer. Um, so yeah, I really enjoy this mood board actually, like just because like it's so different. Like this up here is just the squirrels on Jupiter in a high definition like thing. Even though that has nothing to do, like it's not going into space at all, like it still captures the vibe that I would want to send in this film. And so I put it into this mood board. Also because it's a cool photo. Sorry. um, yeah. So then I guess a second example, and this one would be more, this is a different kind of mood board for another kind of film. This would be like for a psychological horror in space for me about like isolation. Um, so another sample mood board of the thing I'm making. But with this one, I really wanted to show like the darkness and the silhouettes of people, and also to show like again empty space. I wanted to be on a rocky planet and very like metallic, dark, and like shadowy. And in general, this is really helpful for the production designer because I can see the general vibe. I'm going to say vibe a lot because this is exactly what I'm going for, but the vibe is really important before you start, to establish the vibe before you start. Just because if you don't have that established in the beginning, the production design will be very like scattered almost. You'll have too many things that just don't coordinate, which could then be a problem as you get closer and closer to the set. So yeah, those are just two mood boards that I've been working on for a little while, and for a project that I'm working on. It's not at all close to pre-production, it's still in development, but it's very fun, I think, to be able to see what you're making before you actually make it.
Also,
Yeah.
especially if you're like a visual learner or something like that, it's a great way to get your head in the right space when you're writing something, or if you're ready to direct it or whatever. Just having that visual image is good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then the next step after mood boards for professional productions is concept art, which I absolutely love looking at concept art for films that I enjoy. So the director, production designer, and usually concept artist or storyboard artist or something like that would collaborate a lot of the time to try and create like more detailed versions and actual like versions of art that are related to the actual film. With mood boards, since it's like so, it's not actual creation. It's just finding things that you think would be connected and creating the vibe. This one is then compiling all of that into something that you actually like would want to follow. So the top left is something from 1915 with like the in the barn with the soldier and the cow and stuff like that. A lot more realistic and gritty, a lot more like naturalistic kind of setting. The production designer would see the barn and be like, oh, okay, this is like rural and we need like dirty, and we need the costume to be like realistic to the time. And so the production designer could use this then to infer like what to do as you're planning this. Then like top right, that's Black Panther. It's pretty iconic, honestly. I really love all of the production design that Hannah did on the film. But this really sets like, here's what this looks like, here's what we want to do. And the production designer can use this as inspiration and reference throughout the process of pre-production. And then just like continuing, bottom left is The Mandalorian. I think they've done my favorite thing I've seen with the concept art, where they make the concept art the like end credits, so you can see where it starts. I honestly, I love watching those things because it's so cool to see how like it began and how it continues. And then finally, concept art then at the bottom right is for Brave, because concept art is actually really huge for animated movies as well. Production design still continues for animated movies, even though it's all virtual or hand-drawn. It's still really important. Usually production design would be revolving around either the background or the characters or the props or something like that, but there still needs to be a lot of planning involved before you can even start with the actual art of the film. So yeah, I love concept art. It's a passion of mine. I've been a concept artist for a film for a while before I like stopped. But yeah, no, it's really fun to create a vision for something before you actually make it, so you have that clear sense of like where you're going with the film. It is not necessary for student films, I think. It's definitely like helpful. It's a helpful tool, but a lot of the time when you're going micro budget, concept art is way too much of a like time commitment sometimes. But if you're passionate about it, then I think like it's something that is worthwhile to look into. Yeah. Okay, so just going into like the different aspects of what production designers do. First, just talking about the set, the actual location which people will be acting in or filming in. This is a couple sketches and drawings of different locations and different sets that the production designer did before they started filming. Like top left, that's Black Panther again. And what's really important in these kinds of sketches is just establishing the location and making sure that like the space is well defined, so that then the actors will know before they go into the space like where they have to move and play with, and that the cameraman can understand like what they need to recreate almost. A lot of these, I think the two on the right are more period pieces, but those are the ones almost that have the most sketches available for production design, and the ones that are honestly, I think, the prettiest. I love hand drawn and I love like painted, and so usually how like these kinds of locations are done, just because it's easier for production designers to go quickly with sketches and then come back later with actual blueprints and things like that. There are two options for locations that a production designer should keep in mind. One option is shooting in a studio or in a soundstage. This is where literally everything you see on set has to be constructed. There is nothing there. The studio starts out as an empty space, and the production designer would work with a lot of members of their team to build something up that looks realistic. It's something that most studios use in a large amount, just because they're very expensive, and it's very expensive to build stuff up from scratch. I only know of a couple different Emerson productions that have ever actually like fully built something up from scratch, like their full film, just because renting the studio, building the set, making it like actionable, and then like actually using it for the amount of time you need is usually something that you need a lot of money for. However, in a studio, you have much more control than you would anywhere else. One of my favorite examples of in-studio shooting that like shows how cool and how big you can get with the studio is this set from Inception. It's a specialized construction where literally this hallway is set on a gyroscope, basically, where you can spin it constantly and make this entire room spin with the actors and the camera. I think it's so cool. I think anyone who's seen Inception does remember this like interesting like scene. But it was done for only one scene, and it costs millions of dollars. So again, students are not on this level, but it is possible once we get further into the industry to create something that's really cool and unique for a film. So yeah, I just enjoy this example a lot. Second option is on location shooting. This is the large majority of what film students do because it gets a level of authenticity that you can't get in a studio, and it also makes it a lot easier for production designers to adapt the location into what the filmmakers need. You save a lot of money if you don't build stuff up from scratch. Though you do have to worry then about not damaging the location that you're in. The picture on the bottom left is a picture from Lord of the Rings when they were shooting in New Zealand. They shot almost everything they had on location, which was really, really cool, and made New Zealand actually a huge tourist spot specifically for Lord of the Rings. So when you're shooting on location, if it's a big enough set, you actually have a large impact on the people and the community around you that you're shooting. So there's an added level of responsibility as well of being respectful to the places that you are inhabiting and making sure that you don't damage or leave things worse off than they were before. Yeah, I think that's all I have about on location shooting at the moment. Do you guys have any questions about like the set that you guys want to talk about or things that you've encountered? All right, I'm not going to wait that long because it's always awkward silence, but okay. And then last thing I have to talk about then on locations is that there's a lot of variables that you have to take into account that you don't have to take into account when you're in a studio. Weather can be a huge problem. If something rains on your camera and your camera breaks, that's a lot of money down the drain. You don't have control of the lighting like you would in the studio. So a lot of the time you either have to adapt to either the day or the night and then only shoot during those times, or find a clever way to get around the lighting conditions. Sound is also a huge problem. If you're shooting on location and don't secure your location, people and strangers can come into your film set and mess up the audio or get on camera, and then you have to deal with that and then reshoot something. And I know for a fact that airplanes are the bane of sound designers' existence. You'll start a set, the director will say like action, you'll be ready to go, and then an airplane will fly overhead and you can't film for 2 minutes because the audio will be messed up and you won't be able to hear your actors or something. So yeah, there's just a lot more variables that you have to control, or at least try to control while on location, that you wouldn't have to in the studio. But both are valuable for different reasons, I think. So it's all dependent on what you want from your film. Then getting into props. Props are difficult to define, I think. But the way I define it currently is just anything that the actor can pick up and interact with, or the actor will pick up and interact with. So like sports, like you have soccer balls or bikes or phones or toys, masks, remotes, those kinds of things that like the actor will then grab and use within their performance are things that you can then define as a prop. However, say the bike is leaning in the background of your shot, the actor never interacts with that, then that I think would be considered set design, which is different. It would then be under the command and the control of a different group in the art team. Just some jargon, the props are short for property. So property manager would be the manager of all the props, and then property assistant is the assistant for all those props, which honestly, I didn't know. I just assumed props were just called props. So you learn something new every day, which is nice. And then organizing props, each are defined by the characters that are interacting with them. So say character A picks up the toy, but character B never touches it, then it would be character A's prop, which would then be how you would organize that further on. If multiple characters interact with it, I think they usually go with the first person to interact with it, not within the film, but within the set. So if you're filming in a non-linear way, it would be the first person who on set as a character picks up the prop. But it can also depend and change depending on the set, which changes every single time you change sets or films. So yeah, it's complicated and there's a lot of different variables with props and they get messed up and broken very easily. So like being a props master or something like that can be fairly stressful, but it's really fun to deal with all these different items because they can get really fun and unique. These are just some examples now of some of the most famous props that are out there in film at the moment, like the lightsaber from Star Wars, Wilson, this golden snitch, and the I don't know, is it a shrunken head? No, it's like a golden idol from Indiana Jones. Like these are all props that like literally advance the plot of the film and are super important and wouldn't make sense if they weren't there. Um, so again, like props are just really fun and really cool to work with, and a huge part of production design because without them, a lot of stories just would not work. Then moving on to costumes and makeup as production design, I think costumes and makeup are the thing that I just understand, like not at all, but I appreciate so much. It's such a hard job to like transform an actor into different characters. Um, it's really cool, I think. So starting off with costume design and character design, usually character sketches like will narrow down the look of the costume and the makeup, which makes it easier to visualize like the character as a whole. Up top left is like character sketches of Black Panther before any actors were actually cast. It really helps like just to like create like what the director and production designer want from each character. At the top right, I believe that's the Marvelous Miss Maisel. Again, the actor's face is not necessary to create the costume. It's more about the character's like actual, I'm gonna say vibe again, the actual character's vibe. Just to create some good visual look to what the characters will be like. Here are some more just iconic costumes that I think are really impressive. And again, or not again, but I think what's important to note with costumes is that costume is the character. It wouldn't make sense for any of these characters that you see on screen right now to switch costumes. I mean, maybe Batman and Kill Bill, but let's not go there. So in what I mean by costume as character is that the way people dress in the actual world is like very connected to the way they are as a person. If a person is wearing all black and wearing a trench coat and wearing like a big hat or something like that, that is a different character than someone who is wearing a frilly dress and like has pigtails and stuff like that. That creates different characters even if it's the same person. So it's important as a costume designer to take into account who the character is, what their motivations are, and why they would dress a certain way in a certain time. There's a lot of thought that goes into costume design, a lot of stuff that you have to work with in other aspects of the art team. But a lot of the time you have to work also directly with the actors to make sure that they know and it, like your vision lines up with theirs as well as the directors. So it's very complicated, I think, but very cool. Then also just mirroring this, like going into hair and makeup. I think this is almost the most recognizable aspect of a character sometimes, even if you don't realize it while you're watching it. The hair and the makeup usually creates the silhouette of the character, at least of their face, which is what people recognize. So you see Leia with her space buns and you automatically know like who that is, even if you've never seen Star Wars almost. Like you know immediately that's what creates the iconic look of them. You look at Heath Ledger's Joker and you remember the smile and the scars, completely created by makeup. Yeah, I don't know makeup at all. I think it's so interesting how you can completely transform a face. But again, you transform a face in working with the character, in working with who that person is in the story. You don't create someone who has a completely blue face without a reason behind it within the script. It always has to be motivated, is what I mean with that. Yeah, I think it's just cool. And I think these are pretty cool examples of what makeup can do to a person, to an actor. All right. Then, just talking about what's the gray area between all of these different things. I kind of want to open this up to the group. For each of these different things, which do you guys think these categories fall into? take the iron. Oh, go for it.
I was gonna say that the like heart necklace is a prop.
Mm-hmm. But what if she wears it the entire movie, most of the movie?
And it's costume design.
Should we put it in costume or should we put it in props while during
Oh
production?
my god.
I think.
That's so stressful.
No, but honestly, you're actually right. But it should fall into both like costumes and to props. However, when you're in production, it's important to then assign the item to either costume design or to prop design because on a set, you have to have someone responsible for everything. So if you assign it to props, then they have to be responsible for keeping track of it and making sure that she has it whenever she's using it as a costume. It's mostly just for ease of access during production as well. There's some strange theories out there and theoretical stuff that people like talk about. A lot of people enjoy talking about what this gray area is and why it's so important to define. But while in a movie it would both be a prop and a costume piece, you'd probably assign it to one group or the other. Yeah. So where do all these other things fall, do you guys think, within set design, costume design, and prop design? We can start with the Iron Throne in Game of Thrones. Is this a part of the set? Is it a prop? Is it a costume? I hope it's not a costume. It's very spiky. No, no takers. No one wants to take it. Okay. All right. So I would consider the Iron Throne a part of the set. However, because of the way that the Game of Thrones set worked, they actually defined it as a prop. I believe it's because like so many characters interact with it in general, and they had to make it out of so many different props, as in swords. They just eventually turned that into the prop master's responsibility, which I think is a pretty interesting choice for them in that scenario. Glasses, I guess, would be considered the same as the necklace from Titanic. At some points, it can be a prop. At some points, it can be a costume. It's just important to then give that to a group to let them like take control and responsibility of that. The flowers in the bottom left, most of that would be set design, and then the few flowers that you would pick up would be considered props. So usually that would be a mix of both responsibilities. And then I think the one from Mad Max is a mix of all three, which I think is pretty fun. The guitar could be considered part of his costume because it's attached to him. But then would that also then connect to the car itself? Would that be part of his costume? I disagree. I think it's largely just a collaboration between all three. However, on set, it was defined as costume and set without props. So just interesting stuff, I think, that we have to think about while being a production designer, of which category each thing falls into. Okay, so that's my talking. Perfect timing. Basically, I want you guys we're going to split everyone into groups, and you guys are going to create mood boards of your own for different possible films. So you guys are going to use this QR code to act as a Google Drive folder and work on the category that your group corresponds to. In this, I want you guys to think about like the scenery of the film that you want to create. What do the characters look like? What's the vibe of the scenes? What can you use as inspiration within this process? Yeah, so I'm going to split you guys into groups. Each of these files in the group folder should be labeled as well. And then I want you guys to just talk as much as you can and like work with each other as much as you can to create some kind of unified vision throughout this process. Does anyone have any questions about this?
Did everyone scan the QR code? Just want to make sure we got it. No? Okay. Do you want to put it back up?
Supposed to scan that? Oh, geez.
Or I'll put the link in the chat so we have that.
Oh, sounds good. Okay. Cool. Breakout rooms. So if you're in room 1, you'll do category 1, room 2, category 2. follow that logic, it should be pretty easy to do. We'll have a board member in each room to help you guys out. So just bear with us as we try and organize this out. Yeah. So open all rooms. Oh, that's a mistake. 1 second. Options. Wow, my breakout room is really not happy at the moment. Okay, 1 second. So while we're waiting for me to figure this out, anyone have anything they have questions about or things they want to talk about within this process? Oh, they're slowly going. There we go.
Hi. So I think we're number 3, which means we have a family drama set in ancient Egypt. Which is
time.
That's an interesting concept.
Wow, it's something you don't normally think about. Hi.
Jillian, we have ours as a family drama set in ancient Egypt.
Okay, that's cool. Sorry, my dog is barking.
Oh.
He heard her dog barking and started barking.
That's so funny.
Okay, that's interesting.
So for our mood board, do we want like the traditional ancient Egypt like garb, like all of like the head pieces and stuff like that?
I feel like I love that kind of stuff. I think Egyptian mythology is so cool.
Yeah.
So maybe it would be interesting to do like something kind of similar to that.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know how the Egyptian gods are like related, but you know how like in like Greek mythology, like there's Zeus and like they're all kind of related, you know? Like
Mhm.
I wonder if we could do something that like that with ancient Egypt mythology.
I like
kind
that.
of, like that kind of vibe.
Yeah. Maybe we should like pick like some family members and then describe their style in terms of like the Egypt look.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. What is our family gonna be? I feel like we need to have like some sassy like aunt or something that's like wearing a beautiful like, you know, eccentric dress and headpiece or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, I like that.
We could have like the like strong brother or something that like doesn't wear shirts and just wears like pants or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Also, I think if you guys like want to start looking up photos, we'll probably just plop them into this folder after we decide what we want to do.
Right now I'm turning to Pinterest. Pinterest never fails me with aesthetics.
Yep.
Egyptian. Ooh, how do we feel about this one?
Ooh, I like that.
I like it.
I think this is definitely an aunt that I would be like, ooh, fancy. She mentioned mythology. I'm trying to see.
Oh, I'm gonna put, I'll just put this in. I don't really know how to show you guys without putting it in the folder I'm looking at, so I'm just gonna put it in the folder.
I also found like this, it's like a scene almost. It's kind of hard to.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Columns and there's like, oh, there it goes. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's cool. I can see it now.
If you just want to like start putting stuff in the drive, you can or in the folder, you could totally do that. What's our story? Is it just like the dramas and like what goes down in the family, or do we have like a significant conflict?
Could it be like a royalty type struggle?
I feel like it should be a royalty type struggle.
I feel like maybe, yeah, like family drama about competing for the throne,
Yeah,
like very Shakespearean.
yeah, I like that.
Oh, this picture is cool. I uploaded this kind of cool drawing I found on Google of one of the goddesses.
Oh, I like that.
I don't think I have permission to add stuff to the folder.
You should. Did you try going to the chat? Go to the chat and click on the link in the chat. See if that works.
Okay, now it works.
Okay, cool.
What about Rami Malek? Isn't he Egyptian?
Yeah, I thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Think
king.
about it.
He might be cool to add to it.
I love him. I think the family in the story definitely has like an affiliation with the gods and goddesses, and maybe that's something to consider.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Like they rely on the power,
Power from the gods. Yeah.
and maybe that's why they're royal.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, this is unrelated, but does anyone have any fun weekend plans?
I I'm making some cookies this weekend. I'm making
that's fun.
cashew cookies and then pumpkin chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, that's so cute.
Are they gonna be spooky themed when you decorate them?
We'll see. If I want to get that creative.
That's fun.
And then stupid Thursday classes tomorrow.
That sucks. Like, I'd rather just have class on Monday.
Okay, yeah. And the annoying part is my teachers are all making us watch movies. And I'm like, if you're making us watch movies, just have us not have class. Like that's just it feels
no,
like a filler, you know?
It is. It's really frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it drives me crazy. Like, I'd rather just have class like on the day that we're supposed to.
Well, I think it's not even to make up for Monday. I think it's because our semester's shorter that's why they're doing it.
Oh,
Yeah, because of Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
okay. Well, because I was just gonna say, like, we're making up a Thursday class even though we're missing Monday. Like,
Yeah.
but that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is like, why didn't you have us start like a few days earlier then?
Uh-huh. And I think
Like-
we have another Saturday class like in November or something.
It's weird. Are any of you doing the winter term?
No. Are you?
Yes.
What class are you gonna take?
I'm taking writing the short subject.
Oh, wait, who do you have as your teacher?
I think he's new. His name is Professor Pak. It's Pak.
I'm taking that class right now. I have a really awesome teacher. Her name's like Mariona Loretta or something, but it's a really good class. It's super. I was like not into screenwriting and now I'm like, I want to be a screenwriter when I'm older.
How's the workload?
I mean, we only have 3 scripts that we have to write. All of them are like more decent size, so you do have to like spend some time on it. But besides that, I don't have any other homework for that class, which is really nice. Do we have any sort of like props we want, like significant props, like maybe like something that they fight over for like the godly?
Is there something in, let me look it up, called the Staff of Ra?
Oh yeah, it's like a circle and it has like the thing at the bottom of it. I think I know what you're talking about.
Oh wait, I think I know that because it's from Indiana Jones, that's why.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, never mind. But you know, like maybe some sort of
like
artifact that like gives you power or something, maybe.
Oh, what's that thing that's like? It's like it's hot. One of them has.
You
like,
don't
a
even have to do the video? Really?
But yeah, I don't know what it's called. It has like a tassel at the end of it, and like one of them is hooked. I wish I knew what it was.
I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna put some Egyptian like kids in here because we need some kids in our family.
Okay, yeah, no, that's good.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. um, we don't have enough time to share what we did with everyone, and for that I apologize. However, I hope you guys all like came out from that little like exercise with something. You learned something new or had some fun doing it at least, and met some new people. Um, yeah, so in general, that's like the process for like beginning the mood board, the beginning creating the look of what a film can be. Um, it's really helpful for both the cinematographer and the production designer. And just in general, a good skill to have is to be able to narrow down your focus into what you want something to look like before you actually make it. Um, so with that, I believe that's actually our meeting for today. We don't have any events for this next week to promote, which I am sorry for. But we're very happy that you all came and said hi and listened to us talk for an hour. So,
Does anyone have any questions before we go?
questions, comments, concerns?
Can I
Yeah.
plug my project?
Yes, go for
Perfect.
Yeah, so I wrote a script for our project things for this club. I think I put the cast and crew call up on the Facebook page. So if anyone's interested, please, there's an email listed. We have lots of positions that we would like filled.
That's so awesome. Thank you, Erica, for doing that.
it. Yeah, and Erica's project is really, really cool. I'd highly suggest you guys like check it out. It's a great experience and a great opportunity for you guys to like learn more about the actual filmmaking process, especially when it's so hard to do so right now this semester. So definitely check that out. Thank you, Erica, for plugging it. Good job.
Did you put it in the Facebook group? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think I didn't personally put it there. My friend did. So
That's
yeah,
right. Yeah.
that's it.
Nice. Good stuff. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, and if anyone else also ever wants to plug their cool projects or just promote something that they think is worthwhile, this would be at the end of the meeting is always the time to do so. Yeah. But yeah, Riley.
Wait, I have something. I was gonna try to. I do the thing where I click on the space bar and it like unmutes me. But I was talking to Alden because she's awesome. So I was like typing at the same time. So shout out to Miss Alden. You're awesome. Anyways, so I'm in the it's like an off-campus comedy club. We do stand up in the park, and I have a set at 4 p.m. today in the Boston Commons. So if you want to come see me, I'm going to be talking about if you took all of my personality traits and put them into a man, it would be a very scary man. But when I know it's cute.
Wait, Riley, is that the club that oh God, Aldous is in, the freshman?
Yes.
I love Aldous.
He's awesome, isn't he?
He's
God.
great.
He's like, he lives in 2B and I'm in P row, so we can see each other through our windows. So we have like class together and we're like, we check each other out the window. We're like,
oh, that's so funny.
Sounds creepy, but it's actually funny.
It's friendship. It's friendship.
It's where is it? If you're standing, if Little Building is behind you and you look right straight at the Boston Common, it's towards the right side. You'll see like a microphone and an amp and a group of people. So it's a good time. And believe it or not, there aren't that many lady comedians. So if you are interested in stand-up comedy, please come join Stand Up in the Park because we only have 2 lady comedians and they're both named Riley. So if you're not named Riley, we
That's awesome.
I love it. Cool. Thank you so much for sharing. Definitely encourage anyone who's interested to go. That's definitely a cool opportunity for sure. Cool. Well, yeah, that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you guys for showing up and talking and participating and listening to me ramble every single week. Yeah. All right. Well, it's now 30, so I'll see you guys next week, hopefully.
Bye.
Bye.